There's a lot of polling out there. The recent one after the debate showing more than 70% of voters think that President Biden is not demonstrating the capacity to be president. 56% of Democrats say that they would be better off with another nominee. Those are the concerns that I'm talking about that are showing up in the numbers and that are affecting his approval rating.
What I find interesting is that issue is more around ageism and ableism and not what this President Biden has done.
Perfect case study of how Democrats weaponize identity to shut down any legitimate criticism, even criticism or concern coming from their own voters. So that was Democratic Congressman Stephen Horsford essentially smearing American voters who have a legitimate concern about Joe Biden, his age and his mental acuity. Now, Biden allies, unfortunately, have been playing all sorts of dirty games in order to keep him in a race where he is surely going to lose the election to Donald Trump. And now, in a new piece by the Wall Street Journal, we have some pretty shocking examples of how those around Biden have essentially covered up the fact that he has experienced significant mental decline. Here's the most damning anecdote from the Wall Street Journal. German officials, aware of Biden's fatigue at night, sought to accommodate the president by planning a June 2022, this is 2 years ago, June 2022 event with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz in the early evening. The informal event during the Group of Seven summit was arranged as a confidential meeting on Ukraine in a relaxed setting. Biden didn't show, surprising the chancellor and his aides, officials said. Instead, Secretary of State Antony Blinken, someone we did not elect, arrived and announced that Biden had to go to bed, according to two people who were there. Now, later, after this report, Matthew Miller, a State Department spokesperson, denied that Blinken ever said that Biden needed to go to bed. I don't believe anything that comes out of their mouths. But with that said, we should see how Karine Jean-Pierre, White House press secretary, handled questions about this incident in the Wall Street Journal reporting.
When the president was in Italy for the G7, and you remember he skipped one of the leaders' dinner, which was a major event for the summit. And I remember you were asked about it by reporters, and you said, we shouldn't read too much into the fact that he's skipping one dinner. I mean, would the explanation actually have been that he was tired and that he needed to skip something that was happening so late in the evening?
And my answer stays the same. I wouldn't read too much into it. It's not the first time that he has. He has a really busy schedule, and there's a lot going on. As you know, when the president is abroad, he has continued to do domestic stuff as well as meeting with global leaders. And so I truly would not read too much into it.
Yeah, the president of the United States tends to have a busy schedule and should have the energy and the ability to handle that busy schedule, because it turns out that president of the United States is a pretty serious job, but now we're making a mockery out of it. By the way, I just want to note, Biden also met with Democratic governors after his disastrous debate performance and told them, don't worry, I have a plan. I just need more naps. Thanks for watching. Our audience has helped build TYT into the media giant it is today. Together, we can accomplish anything. Support our work and join us at tyt.com/team.
So that's what I wanted to bring up. And then I want to read one of our members' comments because they made a really good point. So first off, he himself told the governors that he can't function after 8 o'clock. And that one of his realizations is that he has to stop doing things after 8 p.m. So who's the president after 8 o'clock? Who's making the important decisions?
I guess Blinken.
Yeah, or let's keep it real, Jill Biden, the first lady, is the president, okay? So we know Joe Biden's not. He says he can't function after 8 o'clock. So, I mean, I didn't say it, he said it. And okay, Jonathan Boris Johnny, YouTube member, hit the join button below, be part of the show. He wrote in, all I'm saying is Biden can't finish sentences. Let's forget about the election. He needs to leave office now. He cannot have one more meeting alone with any world leader. And look, we were super worried about Trump at the end, well, throughout, but especially at the end, because we had known that he ripped up the notes of the translator after he met with Putin. And we're like, can we trust him to be alone with a world leader? He's crazy, what's he gonna say? Is he gonna sell us out, all this stuff? Now we can't trust Biden to be with a world leader because we literally have no idea what he's going to say. And along the points you're making, Anna, there was a meeting at one of these G7s where all of the actual conversations between the war leaders happen when after the press leaves, everybody else leaves. He couldn't make it because he was too tired. That's a different one than the one Anna told you about. Well, if he can't function, he can't be a president. Now, and he's gonna be president and run for president at the same time and make up a 16-point deficit in popularity. Okay, you have to be in a cult to believe that.
To be fair though, I think American voters, especially the independents who tend to be the kingmakers in these elections, I think that they find it very appealing that one of the candidates needs to take a lot of naps in a day just to function at like 30%. But by the way, I'm not kidding. There are Democrats who are making that argument, including Democratic lawmaker Chantel Brown, who argues that Biden needing more naps is actually great. It's something that a man of integrity would say. Let's watch.
When the president spoke to governors last week at the White House, he told them, Congresswoman, that he needs to sleep more and work less. If Congresswoman, if a member of your staff said to you, you know what, Congresswoman Brown, I gotta sleep more and work less, you'd fire them, wouldn't you? Or you'd start looking for their replacement, would you not?
Absolutely not. Listen, the fact that the president
really?
the president can admit his shortcomings, I think is a blessing. I think it demonstrates his integrity. I think it demonstrates his authenticity. And I think it demonstrates how genuine he is when it comes to telling the truth.
The Democratic Party does not respect its voters at all. At all. Not even a little bit. It's disgusting. It really grosses me out.
Chantel Brown's a crook. So just so you understand the context of who she is. Nina Turner was running against 11 people in Cleveland, and she was a heavy favorite. She had a huge lead, and nobody knew any of the other 11. Chantel put a statement on her website saying, out of the blue, how much she loves and would support Israel unequivocally. And all of a sudden, $4 million from Democratic Majority for Israel showed up. So and she had corruption issues already. There was a scandal about how she got funneled money to her boyfriend. Okay, so she raised her hand and said, I'll be the most corrupt Democrat in this race. And AIPAC aligned PACs were like, great, that's the one we wanted. And that's how she got elected. $4 million swamped a 35-point lead. So of course they're gonna send her out, she'll say anything. So she'll tell you how Joe Biden's lying about his age proves how authentic he is. And that the fact that he can't do the job shows what a great president he is. Okay, all right, you can believe anything you like, but I'm glad it's on tape. I hope they use it against her one day.
Well, you can believe members of the Democratic Party who are providing cover for Biden and pretending like he's totally fine, or you can believe all of the polling that's been coming out, including the latest poll, Cenk. This is from the Cook Political Report.
Appropriate, because Biden's cooked.
Yep, definitely. I don't know if you heard, but he beat Medicare. No.
So and he's the first black woman.
They have moved 6 states in favor of Trump as Biden continues campaigning and as his campaign flounders. So what they're reporting is that Arizona is a toss-up that leans Republican. Georgia, toss-up, leans Republican. Minnesota, likely to lean Democrat. Then you have New Hampshire, likely to lean Democrat. Nevada.
But I want you to understand, as you're hearing likely to lean Democrat, those were in the category of Democrat.
Yeah.
They have now moved to toss up leaning Democrat, but might not necessarily be the case.
And Nevada, toss up to lean Republican.
Now Nevada's it used to be a swing state, now it's leaning Republican.
Yep.
Because remember, one of the polls, Biden was losing by 12 there. He's losing by 6 in Wisconsin. You can't even come close to losing Wisconsin. He's losing by 7 in Pennsylvania. This thing's a bloodbath. So you can deny reality all you like, but numbers don't care about your feelings. So they're just going to just show up. That's just what's gonna happen. And I got tons of comments here from our members going, I'm not voting. But one guy said they canceled the North Carolina primary. They didn't want me to vote in the primary. What am I gonna vote in the general election for? You didn't give me an opportunity to vote for a candidate that I wanted. And tons of people are saying, I'm tired of the lies. I don't wanna be lied to. I don't wanna be made to feel like a sucker for going to vote for Joe Biden. And either way, the only strategy, as Anna said earlier in the show, that the Democrats have is yell at their own voters. I want you to be a sucker. Just believe my obvious crazy lies. Remember, I'm the first black woman, okay? And that was in the interview where he was supposed to reassure us. And he had the answer prepared, and he still flubbed it. He flubs every answer. No, don't believe your lying eyes. And then when he loses, of course it's not the beloved leader's fault, it's your fault. They'll yell at you again.
So by the way, these are all anecdotes examples of what has happened in previous years with Biden that was totally shielded or concealed from the American public and Democratic voters. I want to give you one other example that was laid out in this Wall Street Journal report. During a fundraiser at the Four Seasons in New York in June of last year, Biden spoke for 5 to 10 minutes and then took a few questions. Said attendees who bought a ticket, they were struck by how fragile he seemed. At one point, Biden couldn't recall the word for veteran. The president asked the group to help him find the word, saying he wanted to refer to a person who had served in the Army or Navy. And look, guys, things are not going to, his condition is not going to improve, meaning that as he stays in the race and as he continues campaigning, there will be more and more examples of these issues in the press. And of course, Republicans are gonna use it to their advantage. Why wouldn't they? That's a smart strategy if you wanna win elections. They're definitely gonna do that. And let's just be clear about what White House aides have been up to, how far they go to conceal the true mental state of Joe Biden. Let's go to graphic 5 here. White House aides often erect barriers to keep reporters from asking Biden questions. Journalists are sometimes kept dozens or even hundreds of feet away from the president at events. White House staff often blast music so questions can't be heard during the president's exit. Because sometimes as he's walking away, remember, he usually doesn't take questions from reporters. Sometimes as he's walking away, reporters will be shouting questions at him and he'll decide to answer one or two. And the White House aides are like, no, we gotta make him stop doing that. And so now they play super loud music so he can't hear the reporters asking him questions.
Because we've all seen it, guys. Remember when he's walking out of the press conferences, he's walking super slowly and someone shouts a question at him and he goes, huh? And he turns around like this, and then he'll give a nonsensical answer that doesn't make any sense, and then walk off. That's why they're like, oh, we got a genius idea. Since we're all pathological liars who are trying to deceive all the voters and keep this guy so we can keep our job. Who cares if he gets humiliated? And who cares if Democrats lose? Who cares if Trump wins? So, but we got to keep getting paid. It's our job. It's our ego. Just turn up the music. Turn up the music so they can't hear the old man that we all know is having cognitive difficulties, but we're all gonna lie to you. Everybody who's part of that campaign, everybody who's part of that White House should forever be marked as someone who was pathetic, pathological, and
self-interested,
worked against the Democratic voters, worked against the American people, worked against democracy, all for their own ego and their salaries. They're disgusting. Look, one last thing that you should understand. This, sometimes I do shoe on the other foot so that you get a sense of like, oh yeah, imagine if that had happened, right? Imagine if in the height of 2016 or 2020 race, Bernie Sanders said, well, I'm too old and I can't work past 8 o'clock at night. What do you think the press would have done to Bernie Sanders?
I'm sure Democrats like Chantel Brown would go on national television to defend him and say that this is a man of integrity for admitting what his weaknesses are.
They would have shredded him, and you know it, right? They would have said, he can't even work, he's so old, Bernie's so old, he can't even work past 8 o'clock. Well, who's gonna be president past 8 o'clock? But when it's Biden, oh, so authentic and wonderful. Can you see the lies now? What we're trying to do here at the Young Turks is lift the veil. I think you lift this way, okay? And then when you see the guy behind the curtain, you go, oh, that's the guy who's in charge? That's the one we were told is a genius? And oh my, we should never question them because they're so smart and bold and amazing and angels. That pathological narcissist that can't even form a sentence anymore, that's the genius I'm supposed to trust the rest of my life? No, they've been lying to you the whole time because they care about their interests, not your interests.